I wanted to talk about our people, or my people, not having a standard for how to exist and how to live in this life. And it's causing so many issues for us. My people, colored people in general, especially in America, are the only people who don't have an understanding of our history or where we're coming from. Everybody can be like, oh, my family dates back to Ireland, my family dates back to Germany, my family dates back to Australia or England or Europe. And then from there, they have an understanding of who their people have been in the past that has led to them existing in the way that they're living now. And so the thing is that we can't have a true understanding of who we are without having an understanding of where we're coming from and how our people existed in the past. And our people of color, Black people particularly, don't have that today. You know, we're kind of told, hey, you know, you guys are out there swinging on trees and, you know, living in mud houses, and then we came and we captured y'all and we made you slaves, but now everything's okay because you can live in our country and be what we tell you to be. We don't really have a history beyond slavery. So what we find is that today we're having to create our own identity. And because we're living in this land of our captivity, everything about our identity is based on what we're seeing happen around us. And everything that's happening around us is telling us that we are less than, and that we are low, and that we are small, because we don't have an understanding of our history and where we're coming from. And I know that in our community, we talk a lot about, man, we're kings. You know, we come from kings, we come from royalty. But even in saying that, do we really have an understanding of who these kings are? How did these kings carry themselves? How did they rule nations? You know, what is royalty exactly? And how do we carry ourselves in accordance with the royalty that we're coming from? See, even when we say that, we still don't even understand what that royalty is. And that's where I think scripture is so powerful for the entire world, but for the sake of this conversation, particularly for our people. Because what we don't understand is when we say that we're coming from kings, the kings, we have our history in front of us. The kings are King David, the kings are King Solomon, and the kings are, well, most importantly, the King of all kings, the Most High. If we understood that these people that we either read about in the scripture or shun away because we believe that the scripture is this white man's book and this white man's religion, we put our entire history away because it's been misrepresented before us. Now, what I want to come to say is that if we really start going back into scripture and reading it for ourselves, not just going to church and listening to the few scriptures that the pastor pulls out and tells you to go home with, and even more, not listening to the scriptures that have been used and misrepresented to bring across like hate and destruction in the world. If we ourselves go in and read this for ourselves, then we start to gain an understanding of like, well, where we're really coming from, you know, because we are the children of Israel that's listed in this Bible. And everything that is listed in Deuteronomy 28, our people are the only people that fit the criteria for what has occurred based upon like the blessings and the curses that God had put forth. We need to understand as a people is that this is not our home. If you're in America like me, America is not our home. If you're in Africa, even like Africa is your home, but there's more to it than just the continent of Africa. When we understand that we are coming from Israel, we are coming from Abraham, we're coming from Jacob, then we understand that everything about who we are and everything about what we're experiencing in the world today now, when it seems that everybody hates us, you know, for no reason, just because we look how we look, everybody seems to hate us, everybody seems to be against us, everybody seems to be putting us down. Why do you think it is that we're going through this and have been going through this for, should I say centuries? What centuries? 100 years? About 4 centuries now, and even before that. Why is it that our people are the ones who are going through all of this like racism and oppression and downpression? Why is it that we are experiencing all of this? When we begin to ask these questions, then when we go into the scripture, it provides the answers. Where we are right now is not by chance. What we're experiencing is not by chance. How we exist, who we are, the reason why we think the way we think and act the way we act, none of it is by chance, and all of it has been prophesied. It was said in scripture. Essentially, if I can try to put it in a nutshell, God put before our fathers blessings and curses. He said, hey, If you obey me, I will establish you as my people and as my nation, so that other nations will see you and come to know me through you, or through your obedience to me. And he said, if you obey me, I will make you great. I will prosper you. I'm going to teach you my law, obey my laws, and, I will make you a nation great in the earth, and you will call all the other nations to me. But if you disobey me, if you forsake my commandment, then all these curses will come upon you, because now I'm going to have to discipline you. And all these curses entailed like some very, very drastic things. If you haven't read Deuteronomy 28, I highly recommend reading Deuteronomy 28, the blessings and the curses, because some of us read the blessings and we don't read the curses, but the truth is that we're living and have been living in those curses because our forefathers neglected the Most High. We neglected His law, we neglected His commandments, and so these curses came upon us, where we ended up being captive. He said that He would send a foolish nation to chastise us, and so because our fathers went against the Most High, we ended up having to go through slavery, having to go through captivity, having to be in a country where we're always the borrower and never the lender, how we build these houses that we never live in, how we reap these crops that we never eat from, how we find a wife and another man lays with them. All of these things have been prophesied, everything we've been through. And so when we come to where we are now, we have to think, if we're going to experience the curses of this prophecy, whether we believe in it or not, we're living it, then maybe we should at least look at it to gain an understanding of how we can come out of this. Because what we've done is we've recognized that we are in a problem as a community, as a people. We've recognized that we are being oppressed and we are down-pressed, and we've tried all these different avenues to get out of it. We've tried these marches, we've tried these movements, but the thing is that we've never tried returning to the Most High. We've never tried returning to the thing that got us here to begin with, because we are not going to get out of this on our own. Because this is divine. This is not just one nation is more powerful than us and took us and beat us down and oppressed us. Like, this is not this is not a physical thing. What happens in the spiritual manifests in the physical, so we experience it in that way. But when we realize that our problem is actually spiritual, then we realize that we have to deal with it spiritually. And in dealing with it spiritually, we realize we have no choice but to acknowledge Yah. We have no choice but to acknowledge the Most High. And it just hurts me because I see my people every day. We're all living in this struggle. We're all living in this pain, and we're all praying and hoping and trying to find a way out. But yet none of us are turning to the only thing that will get us out. None of us are turning back to the only thing, the thing that got us in here to begin with, and that is the commandments of the Most High. Disobedience got us here in the first place, so obedience is the only thing that's going to get us out.